a regular North Miami CRA meeting, and we don't have a secretary, and someone will act as secretary, the city attorney, CRA attorney. Thank you very much. And now please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance before we do roll call. Thank you. Very much. Councilwoman Cassandra Timothée, can you pray for us, please?
Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you, Father God, this Tuesday, asking for your grace, for your mercy, thanking you for another day of life, oh God. Father God, we ask that you bless this meeting, oh God. We ask that you take over so that we can do the work for the citizens and the residents of the city of North Miami. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Thank you very much. Acting Secretary, please, can you do roll call, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Roll call. Board Member Galvin, not present. Board Member Esteme Irvin.
Present.
Board Member Timothy.
Present.
Chairman Bieneme.
Here.
Board Member DeSolme.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. And now we are moving to the consent agenda. Thank you very much. Deputy Secretary, can the consent agenda, can you move forward with it?
Sorry.
It's tab A to D.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Comprised of what? Tab A to
Tab A
D.
to D.
Oh,
Move.
1 second. I
Yes, go ahead.
would like to pull. Pardon me for being lost. I'd like to pull tab B, please.
You want to pull tab B from
Yes.
the agenda?
B?
Tab B is not approval of the minute.
No, I'm sorry. I meant tab C.
Tab C. The legal fee increase. We move it to the next council meeting, or we move it?
Actually, I don't mind if it's tabled.
For now, we can remove it.
The consent agenda? Okay.
You want to remove it from the consent to the regular agenda, or you want to remove it completely for now?
I can move it from the consent agenda.
That's when you're going to add it to the.
Right.
from
So I'll
consent
remove
to
it for
budget.
consent, and because I'd like to discuss.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Motion to approve the consent agenda, tab A, B, and D.
So moved? No, second.
Well,
Already moved?
do we already have a motion on the floor?
Yes,
I have-
my motion.
I have a motion made by Chairman Bieneme to approve the consent agenda, which consists of tab A, B, and E. That motion was seconded by Board Member Desume. All in favor?
No, no,
Is
no.
Bob, what,
No.
you sleeping?
No, she didn't. because
Seconded it. By by Board Member Timothy. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries with a 4-0.
Thank you very much. Let's go tab C.
Tab C. A resolution of the chair and board members of the North Miami Community Redevelopment Agency approving an increase in funding in the amount of $80,000 to the professional services agreement with Spiritus Law, LLC, to provide legal representation services to the North Miami Community Redevelopment Agency for fiscal year 2020-2021, authorizing the executive director
to issue a purchase order in the amount of $80,000 to Spiritus Law LLC for fiscal year 2020-2021 and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's open it to the public. You want it for discussion, right? Councilwoman? Yeah, okay. Let's open it to the public. Public hearing is open, tab C. Public hearing is now closed. Board members?
Yes, thank you so much. I have a question, Madam Director. Good evening, good afternoon, everyone. In the last proposed budget, there was an item where, for legal services that you proposed 200,000, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
In that 200,000, was this 80,000 included?
No, this is for this past fiscal year. These are invoices for services rendered this past fiscal year through September 30th. So his contract went up by, not contract, but his invoices went up by $80,000 for the work that he's had to do. The budgeted amount was 150,000.
Yes, it
No, it was 150.
It was 150,000.
Yeah.
Okay, so just because I know that I didn't get a chance to meet with you, I'd like to table this item. And when did these invoice occurred? What period
This
of time did it
covers
occur?
July through September.
This covers. And so why is it just coming to us now? I mean, I know that it's over 80,000. Normally, anything over 25 you bring to our attention.
Yes.
Are we behind in payment? Is there?
Well, because the month, yeah, to him, yes, we're behind, but again, the month has to be done, and then his firm has to process the invoices so we can get it. So we will always get it at least, 30 days after. Like for the month of September, I'm still waiting to get the the billing for the month of September. So it's always going to be a few weeks after the month is over for us to get the proper
And
statements
sure,
and
how
so
many?
on.
About how many invoices are this 80,000?
So like I said, it's about like from July to September. Oh.
Okay, I just want to have an opportunity to have further discussion.
Can we
with
table
you
the
because-
item so you can
May I make a
review
comment though
everything?
before we table it? Mr. Chairman, may I make a comment? They're my invoice.
No, but, you cannot defend yourself. Let the director.
He
Well,
said he want to make a comment.
It's a cumulative effect. It's not just because of those invoices. Cumulative over the year that the amount went up.
Okay, that's what I said, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said. A quick question too. Why didn't bring that in the amended budget?
Correct.
Because staff had to reconcile to ensure that we are being properly billed for the services. So it does take time for us to go through all the invoices that he submits to make sure that we are being properly billed. And sometimes there are corrections that need to be made.
So what is the total amount that would be amended from fiscal year October, 1st, 2020 to September 30th, 2021? So what is?
So the contract was 150,000, and this would be an additional 80,000.
So you're talking about what, 230,000 that we're spending
Yes.
legal fees?
Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, you're gonna have.
Yeah, because
the
I know we're trying to
opportunity
table the item, but I know his contract is also up on the agenda as well today. How much are your billable hours per month? Like, do you have like a set amount of hours that you work per month per the contract?
No, the way the agreement has worked for the last 15 years, basically, it's on an hourly basis. It's greatly reduced from what would normally be charged to a client. Our fees are billed at $250 an hour for my time. My standard rate is $650 an hour to private clients. The associates, I think, are at 200, and paralegals are at 150. Typically, we do not go over the budget because the budget is set in the engagement letter, like it is this year, the item that's on the agenda. But this past year, there was a lot of extra work that had to do with a lot of the projects CRA implemented, including the infrastructure grants, tax rebate, incentive agreements, as well as the P3 that we worked on for most of the year, for the last 2 years, actually, before it was now moved to the city.
So you don't include like that amount of hours per month? Like normally attorneys say, hey, I'm charging you guys at a rate of maybe 80 hours per month, and after you've, after you've accumulated those 80 hours, then you begin billing, additional. So I guess, for the sake of, my colleagues up here as well, I guess understanding when from July, you said July to October, when did those, from July to September, when was those hours over? And, it probably should have been included in the amended budget instead of coming after the fact, because it almost looked like, hey, the 50,000 was removed, but now we're adding it in here. So I'm just saying for future purposes. And then also other CRAs actually have attorneys, full-time attorneys as staff. So is that something that this board would like to consider, maybe having a full-time attorney on staff, knowing that we're going to be moving forward, very heavily with more projects, more grant, I'm assuming the workload is going to get more within this year. So is
I
that
don't
something?
think so.
Well, for this price range, I mean, if we are paying $230,000 for legal fees for the year, then I definitely concur that we should just have a dedicated person that is for us. Because, so this is 230 this year, what is it gonna be like next fiscal year? And what if something else happens?
But the
You
question,
understand?
another thing, you said it's 230, but you said you haven't received the September one.
That's including the estimate for September, so it's not to exceed 80,000.
Could be less.
Let me ask you a question. Let's see, one on a regular month, right? The only thing you do for the city is the CRA meeting. How much do you charge?
For the hour I sit here, I can,
No, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, that's how it
Can it be a
works.
month where you only charge $500-600 for the
Correct.
2 hours you
Yes.
correct.
you sit in
And
here?
I represent 2 other CRAs, general counsel.
Okay.
Some of them actually pay more per hour than they're paying, and others I have an agreement where there's a cap on certain tasks. And what we've discussed, in order to save you money, I brought it up at the last, was on these agreements, the developer should be paying the legal fees. That's what we do in Hallandale Beach. And I've saved them tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees by having the developers put up the money, because they come to us, they start negotiating agreements. We go through 6, 7, 10 rounds of comment, and it adds up. So I'm looking to save you all money, okay? And with respect, I mean, I do a lot of CRA work. I've done it for 5 years. The thing with having an in-house attorney is I don't think there's enough of an attorney busy full-time. If you all want to discuss a different sort of retainer agreement with pay me a certain amount every month to come here, which is a flat fee, and then there's a cap on certain types of tasks, and that we have the developers pay certain legal fees and costs when it comes. It'll save you a lot of money, and I can be creative and do that. I think I bring a value here that out of 25 years of practice development agency work, that would attract someone to sit here in-house. I don't think you get the same level of representation, and I don't think there's enough to keep them busy full-time. I don't bill 40 hours a week, right?
Yes, when there's something interesting that you say. That mean, if we're gonna be saving a lot of money, why don't we come with why you didn't tell us that before, so we can have any developers come into the city the same way they hire the engineer, the legal thing. If they wanna come and negotiate a deal with the city, we didn't go out and hire them to negotiate something. They should pay for the CRA legal fee.
We're amending the guidelines
grants.
right now, the infrastructure grants and the TIF rebate program, so that the developers will have to pay. We're in the process of doing that coming fiscal year.
And just
Okay.
for a quick comment, since I've been with the CRA since 2015, only twice has Mr. Zelkwitz gone over his contract amount. The first time was when we were doing the redevelopment plan and we were negotiating our extension, and then this time. But usually, as you may recall, I don't come to you with, overages. It's because this year has been extremely busy. And again, with the negotiating back and forth on these infrastructure grants with the developers, it does take a lot of time.
Right, so I don't have an issue, but typically, like you said, in the past, you've come, anything that, a little bit of overage, you've just come, hey, need your permission, we're going over. But now, for me, and excuse me, to be kind of frank and direct, I'm just concerned, how come this didn't appear on the prior CRA? It's after it appears, let me just say that, after we slash the legal fees, now all of a sudden we're coming with the 80,000. I'm just saying that the appearance.
It's not.
And that's why I asked, what is the time frame? How come we didn't get it? The fiscal year, this is a new fiscal year.
So I
And
wasn't
so-
able to make copies of the invoices to share with you, but I do have them all, and I even have the dates that they were received, because
Okay.
our staff stamps them and everything. So yeah, there is no misunderstanding or anything. The issue is, like I said, you know, the month is over. When we do get the invoices from the attorney's office, we have to reconcile to make sure that they're billing us exactly for the services that they provided us. And there are times where they've had to make some corrections on their end because it wasn't one of the items that we were supposed to be working on. So by the time I get a corrected invoice and for my staff to process, it does take a minute. It's not intentional. Yes, I will take responsibility. My staff took a little bit longer than they should have. But it is, the dates are there, and we even actually stamp when we receive invoices. So it's all.
And another question, where you gonna get the 80,000 from?
No, we do have the carryover amount that we have. There is, I guess, one of the grantees that we had carry over their purchase order that won't be finishing up their project. So most likely it's coming out of that.
From which project?
What you talking about? We haven't voted.
No, because remember when we do carryovers, we do have purchase orders for grantees and projects, and we do have a couple of projects that are problematic, and the grantee has disappeared, and now we have funds available for that, and also we're going to have to recoup the
How much money you have
deposit.
available for that?
Right now, off the top of my head, I would exaggerate. It's about 95,000 that we have left over on the PO, and the applicant has kind of like disappeared with COVID and so on, problems with the contractor, and then now complete silence.
What project was that one?
It's on 7th Avenue. It's a vegan restaurant.
So, okay. You said you have copies of the?
Yes,
invoices?
I just didn't make copies for everybody. I
Sure.
just brought it.
Thank you.
So
In
I
the
can make
meantime,
copies. I'll make
let's-
copies after the.
In the meantime, we have Councilman Desulme. Any questions?
No.
Galvin?
I joined about 15 minutes late. Which item are we even on?
We're discussing
We are
the
discussing
bill.
tab C,
C,
which is.
the
CRA
overage
attorney
for
bill.
the overage.
Gotcha. No question.
What do you wanna do, Councilman? Galvin?
So we can, let's just table it for now. Can we all, yeah, let's table it for now until I get.
Okay, thank
Until
you.
the next meeting.
Can you speak into the
Yeah.
mic, please?
Yeah, we can, yes, we can table it until the next.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much. Tab C is table. I second the motion.
Chairman, for the record, as of 5:42, Board Member Galvin is present.
But wait, I do have a question though.
Yeah.
So there was a, you meant, the director mentioned there was a project on 7th Avenue that people didn't show up. Why is everything on 7th? But,
No, it's a business grant.
That was the people on 123 for that
Which
restaurant.
one? Which restaurant?
123
It's a
7
vegan
next to Dr. Mo is not too far that restaurant.
Which restaurant is that, Mr. Mayor?
You voted for it, you can.
No, I know, who's the people?
I can't remember the names right now, but it's two young ladies that we had funded about 2 years ago before COVID. It's a vegan restaurant.
Oh,
So. But,
You said it was part of the 50? That's when you said up to $80,000, including September.
yes. It'll probably be less.
That's
I'll
when
make
you're gonna
sure
get
it's
it.
less.
Okay.
I'll make sure it's less, okay?
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary.
I have a motion made by Board Member Estimate Irvin to approve the item at tab C.
No.
Oh, to table the item, excuse me, at tab C. The motion was seconded by by Chairman Vandermeer. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries with a 5-0 vote. Tab D, resolution to approve an interlocal agreement between
No,
Miami.
we did. It's a part of the consent, huh?
Yeah, that was,
Yeah.
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 Agenda item 1.
Yeah.
3-1.
Agenda item 1, resolution to approve Spiritus Law Agreement. A resolution of the chair and board members of the North Miami Community Redevelopment Agency approving a professional services agreement with Spiritus Law LLC to provide legal representation services to the North Miami Community Redevelopment Agency for fiscal year 2021-2022, authorizing the executive director to issue a purchase order in the amount of $150,000 to Spiritus Law LLC for fiscal year 2021-2022 and providing an effective date. Agenda item 1.
Yes.
Before you is the contract, the agreement for Spiritus Law to provide us with legal counsel. It's for $150,000. It's to authorize us to open the purchase order. Again, the attorney's here if you have any questions. And one thing I do want to comment is what Mr. Zelkowitz said. We intend to bring back to you the infrastructure grant guidelines for review and approval, and in there we are going to put in about them being able to pay for some of the legal fees once they go over a certain amount of, the back and forth into the negotiations.
Correct,
So to
because
save
I
us-
certainly don't want to be in the position again where I have to come to fiscal year with an increase to the budget. So the budget in 21-22 is the $150,000. We intend to stick to it, and we intend to find ways to save you money on legal fees and not increase the legal fees.
You asked us to approve a budget not to exceed 150 or for 150? You said
The
150.
purchase order, it's to authorize us to open a purchase order for $150,000,
But it's not to exceed.
not to exceed $150,000.
No. Okay. Let's open it to the public. Public hearing is open on agenda item 1. Agenda item 1 is open to the public. Item 1 is now closed. Board members?
I have a question, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Zuckerwitz. What was the contract from last time? Was it 150?
Yes, it was 150.
Okay. So it was 150 and Commissioner, Board Member Timothy, you, from that 150, you had removed the 50, or is this was it 200, it was 50? I'm trying to get,
Oh, the new budget was recommended at 200, but it was reduced to 150.
okay, I got it, thank you. This is the recommended amount.
Is 150, that's what the board
Okay.
approved.
Okay.
Not to exceed $150,000.
So, Mr. Attorney, I guess I have to ask you about your own
Sure.
contract. So if we are, obviously you see the will of the board is to make sure that we have a flat, I'm going to call it a flat rate of $150,000 for the fiscal year, right? So I see that you have all of hourly rates. I see that you have these hourly rates. How could we reconfigure that to show that we need, or is there language already in there saying that if it exceeds 150, it has to come to the board, or?
Yes, the engagement letter itself indicates that it's a not to exceed amount of 150. You all like me to come up with some more creative ways in the engagement letter to have some flat fees and not to exceed amounts for certain types of work, like coming to the board meetings every month, like I do with other CRAs. I'm happy to explore that with
So would you be okay if you would just, are you going to just would you be okay if we would just bring this to the next meeting and you would have that? Would that be?
Yeah, and I'm
Okay.
happy to sit down with each and every one of you between now and the next meeting, go over it, so that you all are comfortable. I don't want you to be uncomfortable with legal services. I've been here since the CRA started. I've been here through the good times, the bad times, and now hopefully the good times again. And I take pride in what I do.
Right, so you know that I've served on the advisory board before I was even elected. But my only concern is, and like I've mentioned just clearly that, when it's $230,000 now, then it's like, okay, wait, we're paying all this money, then maybe it should just be in-house. So, but if we can keep it at, 3 years ago it was 140, if we just keep it
When I
at that,
came
and
here-
what surprised me,
When I came in, it
honestly,
started at 75.
Probably
I wanna be fair.
started at 5,000.
Yeah.
75,000, and I,
No.
right, so I just don't want it to be a trend and all of a
I don't want it
sudden,
to be a trend either,
I,
because I feel uncomfortable sitting here and having you all be upset over the 80,000, and I didn't know that, how far over it had gone. And again, this past year was a lot more work than anticipated, and had we known, we would have come to you mid-year and
well, that's typically how it's done, that's why
That's
this
how it's
triggered
done,
me.
Right, and so it just got away from us, and I'll take as much blame as Rasha on that. It will not happen again, and I'm happy to restructure to make it more cost-effective. Well, that's what we did in Hallandale. I also represent one of the county CRAs. They actually pay me $75, but there's not a lot of work there. There's a lot of work here. I take pride in representing you all. I think I do a good job, and there's very few attorneys who do the CRA work. That's why I kind of cautioned against this in-house sort of idea, because I don't think you can get the quality, and you're going to have to start paying benefits. And there's going to be things that they're going to have to engage outside counsel. So it's not going to cost, it'll cost you a lot more today. But I would like to come back and amend the engagement letter with some of those, whatever we want to call them, bells and whistles, to give you all more comfort. And I'm not going to go over the one. Certainly not, without any reason. I don't see any reason to. The agreements, again, we're going to make the developers, and I think they should have to pay for the beginning, and that's something back and forth on. And like, for example, in Hallandale Beach, they have to put up a $25,000 cost deposit. That pays for myself. That would pay for someone like Blair as well if they're reviewing. So it would save you all money on a couple of different fronts. So I'm happy to do that between now and then. You want to table the item.
Yes, I appreciate that, thank you.
And just give me the, authority to continue until next meeting. Contract for last year ran out already. That would be fine.
Sure.
And we'll do that, and I would like to meet over that.
So I make a motion,
Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Chair, to
But-
table this item.
No,
Oh, go ahead.
I think, for me being the new kid on the block as well, I think understanding that, hey, you have a contract obligation, but to say, hey, we went over, but not knowing what the basis of that overage is, because we don't know what the hourly basis is. So maybe, I don't know how much hours you work. How much hours did he work this year? Do we have that total? Well, for the last fiscal year.
I'd have
You
I
have
can
to
get
tally.
that. I can get that.
Yeah,
Of
just so that we can have,
Summary.
just to
Yeah.
kind of have that transparency, because
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
let's say, hey, you really worked 300 hours and you did go over, let's say another 100, I'm no mathematician, but that's where the 80,000 came from. I think that would give us the understanding to say, okay, we know that in this contract you work 200 hours for the year. And if you went over 50, this is where the $80,000 is coming from. I think would give us that, okay, cool, pay you what you're worth because you already done the work. But at the same time, just so that it's clear and in black and white, so we understand, hey, this is your total hours for the year, and this is where you went over by how many hours, just to have that full transparency would be nice to have in the report.
We can do that, and we can discuss that at the meeting. Well, both issues,
Thank
both
you.
items.
thank you very much. You have any question? Councilman, any question? Thank you very much.
I motion
And
that we
table-
table
yeah.
this item and that we give him the authority to work
Yeah, and I
until
second
the
that.
following CRA Board meeting.
Oh, second.
Secretary?
I have a motion made by Board Member Estime Irvin to table the item at Agenda Item 1 with a grant of authority to the CRA attorney to work until the next board meeting. The motion was seconded by Board Member Timothy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries with a 5-0 vote. Agenda Item 2, resolution to approve redevelopment projects and authorize the executive director to update the redevelopment plan. A resolution of the chair and board members of the North Miami Community Redevelopment Agency approving certain projects as redevelopment priorities in order to achieve the requirements set forth in the interlocal cooperation agreement with Miami-Dade County and the City of North Miami. Authorizing the executive director to proceed with the preparation of an amendment to the redevelopment plan to include Solemia Park and Griffin Park Community Center as redevelopment projects. Authorizing the executive director to take any and all action necessary to facilitate the implementation of the redevelopment priorities and to amend the redevelopment plan, and providing an effective date. Agenda Item 2.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Put up the PowerPoint. Yeah, thank you. We're requesting the board to approve the following projects as redevelopment priorities and authorize us.
No, wait. You said to approve. To give you permission to work on the amended plan, not to approve.
To approve prioritizing these redevelopment projects.
I was under the impression that you need our authorization to start the process, then you will meet with us about our priorities.
It's two things, sir. The first part, the interlocal agreement, as I have mentioned before, has a benchmark by 2024. We were required to do three things: build a downtown parking garage by 2024, affordable housing, or Northwest 7th Avenue. We've accomplished the affordable housing part. We're asking you to allow us to focus on the Northwest 7th Avenue project priority so we can meet the interlocal benchmark by 2024. In addition to that, we're asking you to authorize us to amend the redevelopment plan to include namely Solemia Park and the Griffin Community Center. These are the two projects that both your colleagues we've been talking about, but because they are not in the redevelopment plan, we cannot fund it. We cannot fund the build out. But in addition to that,
I understand that, but I thought you were gonna talk to each people to make sure that's a priority for them.
so let me,
I thought it was a discussion. I'm gonna give you an example. Solemia, maybe Councilman Galvin changed his mind, something else he wants you to do. That's what I'm saying.
yes, I'm naming those two because those are the two that has been brought up as priorities. Again, even at the budget approval process, Councilwoman Estime Irvin mentioned that. But the redevelopment plan, to amend it, it's a whole process. You do have to authorize me to start it. We have to have a public workshop. I have to meet with each one of you, and I have to have a workshop with the CRA Board and the CRA Advisory Committee at the same time.
But
to
when
do
you
that.
meet with us,
Yes.
can those projects be changed? Like, let's say you said Northwest 7th Avenue, and Councilman Desul may have another plan for his district. At that point, what's going to happen?
So,
I'm giving you an example. You
I understand.
Let's
I
see,
understand.
council estimated, you said Griffin Center. I understand we spoke about Griffin Center at the last meeting, especially the budget. Maybe now, since we are doing an amendment to the plan, you may have a different project that she wants you to fund instead of Griffin Center. That's why I say that.
okay. So it's two parts from what I understand what you're saying. The Northwest 7th Avenue project is part of our agreement with the county, unless the board chooses not to move forward with it, which then I have to ask legally, what does that mean for our interlocal agreement? But those were required benchmarks that the county imposed on us when they gave us our extension. Those were You need to get these things
The
done.
the tweet type of thing. But-
3 things. Yes.
Yeah, but not the exact Northwest 7.
Yes, no,
Yeah.
they were specific. Were specific.
In the previous plan,
No, the plan is the document that we
or in the
used.
interlocal agreement.
Agreement, yes.
But
They were
you know,
specific.
why it would never been in your plan if in the interlocal agreement is in there?
The-
The two projects, the Solemia and the Griffin Park, are not intended to meet the interlocal agreement requirements. They're separate. They're things that it was our understanding as staff that certain board members wanted to do. And in order to do those projects, in order to spend money on them, they need to be in the redevelopment plan.
I
So our
understand that.
understanding, and you understand, the other thing is separate. So in order to meet our obligations to the county and to the city, because the city's part of the interlocal agreement, we have to do 2 of those 3 things. So we did
I
one,
understand.
so.
I
so
understand.
so-
That's when you're telling me. No, I understand, Steve.
Okay.
You're telling me 7 was always on the plan,
Yes.
but you
Yes.
never have money. Put
Well, we
money
had
to it.
prioritized the downtown. parking
Oh,
garage.
we were prioritize the downtown,
It was prioritized.
and now okay.
So,
That means it's not a new plan.
no,
The 7th Avenue.
no, this was part of, because the plan, once the plan was approved, the county says, as benchmark,
Okay.
these 3 things.
How much was there for the 7th Avenue before?
Was that the innovation district? Was that what?
It says we have to spend no less than $3 million on developing affordable and workforce housing and creation of incentives to attract innovative businesses dedicated to science and technology on Northwest 7th Avenue.
So that, was that when you guys were working on the innovation district?
Chinatown and
Yes.
things
So,
like that.
okay, so
So
that's when
where
it,
they got the language, but, you know, we still have to invest that, you know, build
No,
an affordable
under-
housing project of some sort.
That's mean when I said previously, we had $7 million like package for that 7th Avenue corridor when we were doing Chinatown, then the innovative district at one point.
That was an estimate that I think my predecessor had done, but traditionally, these projects are actually a little bit more than 7. But
Okay.
the way we did it, when
But
we
it
did
was
the
for
interlocal, they say a
infrastructure.
minimum, yeah, they said.
Yeah, the money was for infrastructure, water and sewer line. All
And we were
those.
expecting to use it to provide incentives to developers when we're working on the innovative district, or, you know, to start the development along the corridor.
Thank you very much. Let's start with District 1. And
No,
Scott,
I support the measure simply because you are including Solemia Park. Obviously, changing the boundaries is necessary to even consider doing something there. I also recognize that Councilman Irvin is very interested in Griffin Park. So, you know, if we don't change the boundary or include them in the boundary, or however you want to say it, we can't even look at those. So, appreciate it.
thank you very much.
for me, I kind of have an issue with the plan right now because as stated, the parking garage was removed, right? Correct? The parking,
No, it's not being
removed.
removed.
It's not we're focusing on 7th Avenue as a priority because the parking garage is going to take longer than 2024 at this point.
so with the P3 being, you know, a priority project for me and for a lot of the council members here, I think that should be a priority as the city's moving the discussion along because it is a joint venture. And to remove the parking garage or not make it a priority, I think would be ingenuous to the city because I believe that CRAs are here to remove slum and blight, and this is a project that can generate revenues to fund a Solemia Park, to fund a Griffin Park. So as I'm seeing it right now, we're not focusing more on revenue generating projects that can pay for these non-revenue generating projects. So I would like to see this item tabled because I just feel like we probably need to discuss it as a board because it's before we amend the plan, before we, you know, say, hey, what projects we're going to move on, we need to discuss it collectively to say, hey, you know, what's our vision right now for the city and how we're going to move the city forward.
But the question, and Councilwoman and Timothy and for the executive director, if we put the parking garage in the plan, you have to get it done by 2024.
Or can it be started under contract, or does it have to be built out by 2024?
Well,
Because
I
the
mean,
thing is,
It could just be under contract by 2024.
another question,
Yeah, that's
Councilwoman Timothy, and I sat down with the executive director of the CRA. As a matter of fact, they're ready to move forward with the parking garage right now. But by saying we have to focus on the P3 and we turn it to the cities, like right now they don't have a land. They don't have the land. They may have the money now. They don't have the land to do the parking garage at this time.
And
They can start negotiating a project right now if you want to with that parking lot and the front end. If we put it in the plan, they have to do that instead of without waiting for the P3. What you want to.
But I think it's still part of the same overall discussion, because even if the CRA move forward on the parking garage and the city's moving forward on the land, this requires a discussion.
I
That's just a
understand.
discussion that we have collectively. And I kind of feel like with this, separation, the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing, where you have, before the city manager used to serve as the CRA director. And I think when you had the same person in both meetings, you kind of were able to maneuver in a certain way, and we're maneuvering collectively. And I think, just having a briefing with Rosh and then having a briefing with the city manager is like, hey, I'm thinking, hey, the CRA can fix this because the CRA has money. And then the city's, scrambling, looking for ways and an outlook. And I think we probably need to find a way to merge that gap, because it's creating a breakdown in communication internally. And I think, projects are getting delayed or put to the side because of that confusion. It's really starting, just for my couple of months here, I'm starting to see that it's causing confusion, because when you have a city manager who's also your CRA director, when you're asking for stuff, his or her mindset is, hey, let me see how we can resolve this. But now we're almost, we're disjointed in a way, how we're moving with certain projects. So.
Yeah, but I do understand that. But it's been done. We have it separate. We just have to make it work right now.
To the councilwoman's point, can we start asking that the city manager attend all CRA board meetings, so that if there's a question like that at this moment, we can ask, somebody can rise and come to the front?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, that's a good idea too. But yeah, that's a good idea. But my point, Councilwoman Timothy, if we put the parking garage as a priority for 2024, will you allow her to start engaging in discussion on a city land to build the parking garage by 2024?
But it would have to be working with the city, like that goes back to the disjointment that I'm talking about. It's like,
No,
yeah.
no, for that parking, it can be negotiated with the city, but like right now, what the CRA been asking is just to turn the parking lot to them, so they can negotiate with the front and put the parking garage together by 2024. Can we move forward with that while we are working on the P3 over the overall P3 project?
I would say yes, but I would want to sit down with the CRA, city manager, CRA attorney, and even our P3 attorney to say, hey, what is in our best interest to move? So I don't want to say, yes, let's do it.
Okay.
And then I'm told, hey, this is probably not the best route.
Yes, you're gonna. Okay. Thank you very much. And now this week.
Thank you. So in all fairness, I believe that the executive director had talked about us sitting down and having a workshop, and I think more importantly, this is definitely needed, similar to what we do on the executive session or executive retreat, whatever it is that we
The
do on the
workshop is
city
for the
side.
residents.
So,
And
I'm sorry?
the workshop you said with the residents.
No. I'm talking about, when we have sessions.
You're talking
Oh,
about an executive session.
Right. Sessions of what we plan to do, and we talk, we
Okay.
sunshine it out and talk about it. It's evident that we need that. And we need maybe a combination between the CRA and the city. We desperately need that so that we can make sound decision on both sides. So I know
No,
I'm
it's
asking to table everything today.
I know.
But again, I would feel more comfortable if we can table this item, if we can arrange to have those meetings, so we can have the meeting of the minds, so that we can get it right. You know, I want us to meet our benchmark with the local agreements that we've set.
And,
So that, and we need to do it in an efficient way.
understand we have a deadline, the 2024, we need to.
Correct.
But can we add, find a way to add the parking garage? And then move forward unless, what do you think? As a compromise,
I'm sorry?
we add the parking garage.
So, Mr. Chair, again, I want to see the entire picture. You know, we're having a discussion here at CRA. I am more comfortable if both executive madams are present, so that we can have the healthy debate.
Are you telling
And-
me you're gonna have private meeting with both or count under the sunshine? What are you talking?
Oh,
So-
look, the city manager's here.
So it's similarly to what we do in the summer, when
Mhm.
we get together as a council, we do a whatever sunshine executive session.
Oh,
so
you're
that
talking
we can
about
have
that, how you call it?
Retreat.
The
Yeah, like a retreat.
You're talking
There
about
you
the
go.
retreat?
A
Okay,
retreat.
okay.
So
Now,
we-
okay.
Right.
We don't have time to do a retreat on this item, do we? Or was there a specific deadline? No, I see you doing this, that means there's
But
no deadline.
No, I mean, there is a
If we have to
deadline
do
for
a
us to
retreat,
try
it gotta
to
be
get as
something
much
in
as
a
we
week.
can, but I am at the will of the board. But we do have, like I said, I always remind you, September 2024, for us to show the county that we've actually shoveled on the ground and we've built something.
So what's our deadline?
How long does
September
that process
2024.
take? Well, no, I think the real question is, what is the process to update the redevelopment plan, given what we're, you know, what we're requesting up
So
here?
it's two different deadlines.
Mhm.
Amending the redevelopment plan is for us to be able to not only add primarily the two parks, but also update it based on what it.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying-
We need to get it done so that.
That
we can include
timeline.
it.
What is
because
the deadline?
No, the timeline. So normally when you're
It'll be
updating
like
the
6
CRA
months.
plan, it has to
6
go before the
months.
city, it has to go to the council, then it has to go to
The county.
the county, and then it has to be.
Before that part, we got to do the public part. That's a 6-month process.
Okay, so about 6 months before 2024. Okay.
Oh,
We
okay.
got it.
Get
We
to
got
that.
Oh, it's a lot of time.
So
Okay.
if we postpone
have
it to
time,
the
it's 6
following
months.
meeting, that would be sufficient for us to get our act together, correct?
Yeah,
So that's what I'm asking.
okay.
Mr. Chair? I
Yes,
mean, there's a lot of different ways to tackle this. You could have a joint workshop,
That's what
public
I'm-
workshop between the city and the CRA. I mean, there's
yeah,
nothing wrong with
that's what
that.
we meant.
You could have a joint meeting of the city.
That's what
and
we,
the
that
CRA.
is, one or the other. That's what we are discussing, whether it's a retreat, whether it's a joint meeting, or whatever it is to address that. And we need to do it as quick as tomorrow to set it up, so we know when.
I'll be out of town from October 28th to November 1st.
Okay.
Hopefully not on one of.
Okay,
And I'm sure you'll check with our office.
okay. Councilman Desilme, you're discussing
I have nothing, Mr. Mayor.
item 2, thank you very much. Your motion is to table that, right?
That-
Until, yeah.
Right.
And have a joint meeting or a retreat then on the subject of the redevelopment of the downtown city. Okay, thank you very much. Oh,
Did we get the motion?
motion made by who?
Right, so I motion to defer this item.
And Councilwoman Timothy second.
Would you like to open it to,
Public hearing?
yeah?
I did, and I closed, no? Agenda item number 2 is open to the public. Public hearing is open on agenda item number 2. Public hearing is now closed.
I have a motion made by Board Member Estime Irvin to table the item at agenda item 2. The motion was seconded by Board Member Timothy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries with a 5-0 vote. Agenda item 3, resolution to approve renewal agreement for Business Flair. A resolution of the Chair and Board members of the North Miami Community Redevelopment Agency authorizing the Executive Director and North Miami CRA Attorney to negotiate and finalize a first renewal to the consultant agreement with Business Flair LLC to provide redevelopment technical advisory services for a 1-year term and in an amount not to exceed $159,800. Authorizing the Executive Director to execute the first renewal with Business Flair LLC. Authorizing the Executive Director to take all action necessary to implement the terms of the first renewal and providing an effective date. Agenda item 3.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair and board members, this is the contract renewal agreement for Business Flair. He provides us with redevelopment technical consultancy, and he would be the person who would be helping us with the projects that the board will decide to prioritize, and also to the process to amend the redevelopment plan.
Thank you very much. Let's open it to the public. Do you have presentation now? Okay. Public hearing is open on item 3. Item 3 is open to the public. Item 3 is now closed. Board members, there is questions?
Move approval?
A second, if there is no motion or discussion.
I have a motion made by Board Member Galvin to approve Agenda Item 3. The motion was seconded by Chairman Bieneme. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
Thank you. We really look forward to continuing to work with you. As Steve said, I echo what Steve said about the pride in working for you. In fact, North Miami is where we established our office when we wanted to open, and we have a real special place in our heart, and really enjoy working for the city, and look forward to another year together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Agenda item number 4.
Agenda Item 4, Resolution to rescind residence at NOMI. A resolution of the Chair and Board members of the North Miami Community Redevelopment Agency rescinding the funding for North Miami or NM 124 LLC for a multifamily residential project known as Residence at NOMI, located at 950 Northeast 124th Street, North Miami, Florida 33161, in the form of an infrastructure grant not to exceed $5,880,000 and a tax increment recapture incentive of 50% of projected city ad valorem tax revenues from the time the project appears on the property tax rolls until the North Miami CRA sunsets, approximately 20 years, and providing an effective date. Agenda Item 4.
Thank you very much. Agenda item 4, Madam Executive Director. I received a call this afternoon from the attorney for residences at NOMI, and asking me if we can table this item until the next meeting. And it seems like they're working on the financial loan, and they just need something to be amended by the city, and can we give them another month? I understand that they're in default and everything, but and just 1 month won't care to see what they have to say.
Right. Again, it is the will of the board. It's just to be clear, we went through the process, we awarded them.
No, I understand.
And
if they ask for another month, the land been sitting there for years ever. If they can come up with something, and I don't
that is
see
not a
any
problem.
problem.
However,
with that.
if they have to come back to the city council to request, that is
Yeah, they're
to
coming.
take- It's going to take a longer process, and we just have to be
But they just
clear
need-
on it.
But the attorney wanna just tell us exactly what they're looking for, talking to every council members, and see if they can move forward. If not, so we can do it next month, just another 30 days.
Yep, that's not a
Okay.
problem.
Mr. Chairman, if in 30 days,
No, it's just they said they wanna come before council, talk to each of us to clarify things and see if we're willing to do the amendment that they are looking for to get the financial. If
On the
not,
city side.
my concern is that they lack financial wherewithal to do this project. That's part of why it's been dragging
No, I
out for so long. So if they don't, I don't know how we prove that they do, because anybody can walk in and go, yeah, no, don't take the project from me, because, how do we ascertain whether or not they really have the capabilities to do the project?
that's why they say give them another 30 days to come and talk to you.
I mean,
Because
they could talk to me between now and 7 p.m. That doesn't mean...
from what I understand, they said in order to get the financials, since we have a closed sale 55 and older, they just want us to change from 55 to 62, something like that. If the board is willing to do so, they're gonna move forward. If the board said no, then we're not gonna move forward. Just another 30 days.
That's on the covenant on the city side. You have a covenant on the property saying that no ELF and it's for 55 and over. So now they want to
Yes.
increase it to 62 and over, and
Yes,
maybe
to
that,
get
they
the
think
fund.
that will help them with their finance.
And
It
how
sounds
much?
like they've spoken to everybody but me.
Me
No, that, no, that's, no, what they said, no, they
They haven't
spoke,
talked to me.
Okay.
they
It was just,
spoke
it was a
with,
last minute
Then you
thing.
guys know what's going on.
No,
They just texted
no,
us
that's-
last
It would
minute.
have been great if they were here tonight.
Yes,
They are.
It
yes,
really would have been.
yes. They were notified also that we were having the meeting.
And how much
September
was this
29th.
grant?
It's $5.8 million, and that's for the infrastructure, and then 50% of their future taxes.
And how much did you have budgeted in this fiscal year?
Well, this fiscal year was the $666,000 that we have in the capital
Mhm.
for it, and then the following year would have been more.
So because this was in District 2, and this was, if it is being defunded, or eventually if it was being defunded, I did have a solution or a plea to the board on where those funds could be going to. There's two.
no, it was, it
No,
had
no, no,
nothing
no,
to do
I'm
with
just saying.
DC.
I'm just saying.
No, no.
Because because District 2, where, I understand District 2 has a lot of.
You
of the
already
TIP
have
grant.
too much.
No, but still.
You already have too much.
May-
Don't worry
Chairman,
about that.
Chairman.
That's not, it
So
won't
I
be a
did
discussion.
request, Chairman, can I? Thank you. So I did request that Riva Development come to present to us, and can we add them to the next CRA board agenda to give us an update? Because that's the 5 elderly project that was happening in District 2 with the TD Bank that has been going on for years. They were able to get the HUD extension, and because of construction costs, they were going to come before the board for an addition.
I understand that.
And 2, second, I passed out a presentation that we received from the Overtown CRA. I know Councilwoman Urban attended with me, and I gave one to Councilman Galvin, Mayor, and Chairman DeSome. Those projects, what Overtown was able to do with building rehabilitations, with what they were able to do with their vacant lots, what they were able to do with housing, they're literally handing out keys to residents right now because of the projects that they were able to complete. Lots that they were able to, turn into homes, and, really do something really amazing with maybe just 400,000 or 100,000. So that's why I passed out that presentation to you all. If you guys can take a look at it, because it is something that I would also like to bring for the board if this grant is defunded. So I was making plans for the 667. I'm sorry.
This one, we have to update the CRA guideline to allow money on multi-family units.
Yeah, well, that was one of the reasons why we did the tour in Overtown CRA,
Yeah.
to see how, and so we
We're
can come
gonna
up with
do that.
recommendations for a multifamily guideline for the rehab. Right now, we only have the single family up to 4 units.
Okay. And thank you very much. And now,
So I motion to table the item.
thank you. Second,
Just a question. We table it for how long?
next
Next
meeting.
meeting.
November.
And what are we hoping that staff brings back to us at the next?
They're gonna come and explain you what's the problem with the bank, and if you,
They're going to, or the?
They're-
The client, the
gonna
attorney
come
for
up.
the applicant will bring.
Okay, I'm going to have a real fine eyeglass on that from my standpoint, because if they haven't been able to financially make this happen in years,
It's not
What-
years, we have proved it just not too long ago, a few months ago.
months, it's been a little. If it's gotten to the point where the CRA director is saying, let's withdraw their proposal because they don't have the financial capabilities, I'm going to have a real strong magnifying glass on what they're saying now changes. Because if they walk in and say, we've got a new financer and they're going to, but I want to see that financer right there
Councilman
saying, yes,
Galvin,
we can.
there's people who have money before them, we haven't they have done less than what those people, as a matter of fact, they put permit, and you have other people who have money for years and they haven't do anything. That's been another month that's gonna kill.
Pull them off. No,
Yeah.
I'm not fighting with the month,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is that if we come back in a month and they just said, well, we talked to you councilman, and you councilwoman, okay, how does that change their financial capabilities? I don't want to keep, we're already as a CRA under the hot microscope. Why do I keep referencing microscopes and stuff? But we're already on the hot seat that we're not doing anything. And if we say to these folks, okay, well, you tell us you've got financing, so this sounds good, and then 6 months later, we're sitting here and they haven't, because they didn't have financing, et cetera. That's going to be where I'm just saying up front what my concern will be, because I don't want us to go through this and then come back in a month and we're exactly where we are right now. That's fair.
Madam Clerk?
So to start, I'm going to need a copy of that presentation for the record. Okay.
What presentation?
One that was
Whatever.
passed
Oh, here.
around. Just for the record, because the secretary asked me, we did make the proper sunshine notice that 2 of the board members would be attending.
Can you repeat that, please? That was...
Two of the board members attended this meeting of the Overtown CRA, so we published the sunshine meeting notice with respect to that.
Right. Thank you so much, by the way, Executive Director, for having that meeting. This is something that I talked about for many years. Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, that workshop, you know what sorry.
So I have a motion, but I don't have the second.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion made by Board Member Estime Urban to table Agenda Item 4 until the next meeting. The motion was seconded by Board Member Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
Very much. GI Attorney report.
I think I've said enough tonight.
Thank you. Director report.
No reports.
Public comments. Any comments from the public about the CRA? None. No questions. Reports from the last. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion made by Board Member Galvin to adjourn, seconded by Board Member Estime Irvin. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote. It is 6:31.
Thank you very much.